Hi, and welcome to this video where we look at upgrading IXP Manager version 5.8 to IXP Manager version 6, which we're about to release. To step through this process, because I know that upgrading from one major version to another can be quite scary. What I've done here is I've taken a replica of INX's own IXP Manager installation and put it onto a virtual machine. So I'm going to upgrade this, and INX is of course running version 5.8. So I'm going to upgrade this through the video, and I'm going to do it by using what are I've got my IXP Manager version 6 release notes here, and I've got my draft upgrade instructions. So I'm going to use these as well as some notes I've made, and step through the process one by one. There are a few things to be aware of when you're going to move to IXP Manager version 6. One of them is that that PHP version 8 is now a requirement. So there is code in IXP Manager version 6 that is PHP 8 only, so it will not work in an older version of PHP. The good news is, as part of this process, the system that I'm going to upgrade is running PHP version 7.3. So we'll do that as part of this process as well. Let me just see if there's anything else. So one thing is, yeah, you should be upgrading from version 5.8. It may be possible to upgrade from older versions, but I really wouldn't. And the one that we're going to support is upgrading from version 5.8. So yeah, so as I said, I've cloned IXP Manager's version 5.8 running on Ubuntu 18.04 with PHP 7.3. So this is the video that I'm now recording that I've pre-written for the notes. What I'm going to do as well at the end of this video is I'm going to do a distribution upgrade. So from Ubuntu 18.04 to Ubuntu 20.04, just to see what that looks like. The main thing is that IXP Manager version 6 will run on any operating system. We obviously always recommend Ubuntu, the latest long-term support LTS version of Ubuntu. In this case, that would be 20.04. But INX is running on 18.04 historically, so we're going to upgrade that as well and see how that goes. Yeah, okay. So let's step through it. I'm going to start off by setting two variables. So the first is the IXP Root Variable. You should set that always, and when you're doing the upgrade instructions, it'll get you to do this as well. So this is where I've installed IXP Manager for this system, and it's where we recommend you install it as well. And all of our notes are geared around that. The second thing I'm going to set is the www user, which is the user that your Apache or Nginx daemon runs on. If you're not sure, you can ps grep for Apache, or if you're running Red Hat or CentOS, you might need the grep for HTTPD, for example. And we can see here it's www-data. So just going to set those variables to start with. Now, the second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some backups of this. So just in case we need to roll back, I'm going to back it up. So I'm going to run this command. I'm going to create a tar of my IXP root, and I'm going to store it in this file here. So I'm just going to copy that, paste it in. This should take a second. At some point, I might just pause the recording and we'll come back. I didn't pause, it looks like, so we are still recording. Okay, and it's done. So there is my backup. In this case, it's 82 megabytes. That's fine. So that's my file system, my installation of IXP Manager backed up. What we also want to back up is the database. So one thing to note is that the .m file where we have all of our configuration are basically key value pairs. And just for the record, I've changed the API key. So this isn't IXP Manager or INX's API key. I've changed some of the obvious stuff just to not leak some security stuff. And I've changed the stuff as well. But the key value pairs, so you can actually source the .m file. When you have that, then you have the variables that are in it are now set in your bash environment. So what I'm going to do, now that I've sourced this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a MySQL dump of the IXP Manager database. I'm going to zip it up. I'm going to store it in another bzip file. Okay, so we've got a problem here. There are triggers in one or two of the tables, and there's a definer that's obviously defined in IXP Manager's production database that I don't have in my own database here. The easiest way to handle that is to just create that user. So I'm going to go into MySQL as the root user. So just go into the root user on the operating system and then log into MySQL as the root user. I'm going to create user. What was it again? It was IXP at this. Okay. So create user IXP at, hopefully that's all I need to do. I'll just do a flush privileges. I don't know if this is required anymore, but I just, have been doing it for all of time. Let's try that one more time. Okay, great. So that's working. So yeah, that was just something to just watch out. Probably won't be an issue for anyone doing this in a production system, because on a production system, those users will already exist. It's just that I've cloned the database onto a VirtualBox system here myself. So that's running away. Well, let's just go into serve and have a look. So we can see here that's getting a bit bigger as we go along. It's going to take a little bit longer than usual because I have decided to compress it with -9. If you just excluded the bzip element and just dumped it into that SQL file, it would only take seconds. So while it's running, let's see what's next. So then, yeah, what I'm doing is I'm advising that you copy both of those files off the server. So, if we do an operating system upgrade and we end up destroying the server for whatever reason, at least we have those two files available to us. And many of you may already have and should have automated backups in place that might run, say, nightly, where you might need to worry about doing these backups because you have those backups already in place. There was one other thing. So before continuing, you should ensure IXP Manager MySQL user has a super privileges, and that's something that comes up now and again with Laravel database migrations. So what I'm suggesting to do here is, so again, I'm going to source my .m file. I don't need to, I've already done it, but I just repeat the instructions just in case people are doing these out of sequence or in different windows. And then I've got this echo, which gives me a command, and it's telling me that what I need to run to give smoke detector test, that what I need to do to give my IXP Manager user super, this is the command I need to run. So I'm just going to back into MySQL as root and run that, and there we go. So that was just some note that's just useful to do to avoid future problems. The next thing to do is enable maintenance mode. So cd IXP root, I'm already there as it happens. And then I'm going to do a PHP artisan down and a message. And I'm giving it a rough time scale. So I'm just suggesting, 11 p.m. local time here. The effect of that is if someone comes to your IXP Manager installation now, what they'll get is just a simple message. Now, at some point during this, because it's a distribution upgrade as well, we may end up taking down the server or Apache, but at least while those things are up, they will get this helpful message. So to make sure our operating system is fully up to date before we continue. So let's just do an apt-get update. I will do an apt-get upgrade. This should be fine because I will already have done this. So that's all fine. It's telling us there was a package that was automatically installed that's no longer required. So for housekeeping, we'll just remove that. Not necessary. So we now need to upgrade to PHP version 8 and install any other required packages. So to do this, we use a Ubuntu PPA from Andre. In fact, if you Google Ubuntu 2004 PHP 8 PPA, you will find PPA. It's not popping up immediately. Let's go with just this. So here it is. The main PPA supported. So Andre Suri has been doing this for years now, and you can certainly, I would suggest, at the very least, buy him a cup of coffee He's been in this for years, and it's incredibly useful. So it means that we can install different versions of PHP on Ubuntu, besides the stock version that it came with. So in the case of Ubuntu 18.04, that was PHP 7.3, I think, which is probably why it's running here. So to use the PPA to upgrade to PHP version 8, we install this package. Oh, sorry. May already be installed. Yeah. And then we add this PPA, this personal package archive repository. So that's added, and now we have to just do an apt update. Okay, so there are various things you can do now. You can go up and try and uninstall PHP 7.3 and install PHP 8 packages and stuff. What I found, trying this a couple of different ways to prepare this, what I found was if I just take the apt install that comes from the automated install script. So if I just do what the automated installer would do anyway. So let me just run that here. So this is with IXP Manager for installation. We provide a bash script that will take a clean Ubuntu operating system, install everything, and set up IXP Manager. So what I've done is I've taken the apt install list of packages from that, and I'm just running it here. So that will make sure that I have everything installed that I need to have installed for IXP Manager version 6. If you're using a different operating system, you can step through all of these yourself and try and find the equivalents on your own operating system. Now, what will happen is the above will have left PHP in a bit of a mess, and it really will. I mean, if we take a look here at what we've got out of this, so let's just do a dpackage-l grep PHP, and what we'll see is, right, we've got all these PHP version 8s, but look at this, we've got PHP version 7.3s that are still installed as well. So we're definitely in a bit of a mess, and we've got 2 versions at least of PHP installed. And that's one, and you know, that probably is compatible, and there are ways to make the default, like the PHP command, run one or the other, because it is supported to have multiple versions installed at the same time. It's definitely not something that we want to do, to be perfectly honest. So let's find all the versions that are running 7.3. So there's a good few packages there, as we can see. Let's go ahead and remove those. So I'm running dpackage purge, and then I'm getting all these packages that I just found, piping into awk and getting the second parameter, which is the name of the package itself. So we're going to remove all of those here. So this is just a bit more housekeeping. Once this is finished, we're going to see if there's any other versions besides version 8 that are lying around, and if they are, we'll probably go ahead and remove those as well. So let's see. So PHP 8, perfect. And then all of these PHP dash whatever without a version number, they're all perfectly fine. Some of them are third-party libraries, and some of them are pseudo packages. So for example, PHP, let's see if I can see one here that would be quite obvious, like PHP DS, for example, would probably include PHP 8.0-DS. So it would include the default package for the version that you actually have installed. So we should be running PHP version 8 now, and we are. That's great. Let me just see if Apache is doing the right thing. So let's have a look at etc. Apache mods enabled. So what I don't see here in mods enabled is PHP. So what I think I need to do here is apt install lib apache to mod PHP 8.0. Did I miss it? P, I don't see it there. A2en mod PHP 8. And we need to restart Apache. Okay, so there it is. So I'm just going to take a quick copy of that, and I will update the my own draft notes here with that extra bit shortly. So that's what's up and running, and I did do a restart. I did, yeah. So that means Apache should be running. In fact, with luck, this should probably work. And it does, which is great. So now we need to upgrade IXP Manager. So we're going to fetch all the latest Git information. That's it there. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's looking for a password for. Right. So we have a separate development repository. So it was looking for a password for that. I don't need that here, so I'm not going to do anything with it. Now I'm going to check out version 6. Oh yes, right. So that is correct for what will be the official instructions. I haven't tagged v6 yet because I'm still working through a few bugs. So what I'm going to actually check out is release v6. This will match whatever the v6.0 tag is. So when you're following these instructions, do say git checkout v6.0.0. For me, because I haven't tagged it, I'm going to use the v6 release branch. So that's done. Now we've now got IXP Manager version 6 installed, which is a massive. The amount of differences are huge. As it stands, before I started this, we were talking about 1,200 files changed, 83,000 new lines, 140,000 lines removed. So massive difference under the hood. What we now need to do is upgrade all of the third-party libraries we use. One issue with that is Composer is installed. I don't know what it did there. So I do a dpackage-l, grab the Composer. So you can see it is installed. It's Package Manager and it's version 1.6. That's not good, right? We need, because I'm running Ubuntu 18, that's the default. I don't know offhand what comes with Ubuntu 20.04, but regardless, 1.6 is not the one we need. So I have some simple instructions here. And I'm saying install Composer locally. It's important because Ubuntu uses v1 at the moment, which is not compatible with PHP version 8. So these instructions come straight from getcomposer.org, and you should browse here and follow the latest, as the hash may have changed. So what I'm saying is browse to that link that I provided, this get composer link, and you should, before you copy and paste any commands from any website and run a script from a website, you should be happy. You should be happy with its validity. I'm quite happy with Composer's validity here, so I'm going to download it, run those commands, and when I've done that, and I've done this in IXP root, so I'm in serve IXP Manager. When I've done that, you'll see I've got this composer.var. So that's my local install of Composer. And if I go back then to my upgrade instructions, so download the required libraries via Composer. Over the years, we've had a lot of people with file system privileges, and I think some users of IXP Manager might not be fully au fait with Linux file system permissions, and to get around that, we ended up with these really convoluted commands to make sure that everything was done as the web user. I'm going to fix the permissions when I'm finished. So I'm going to make life easy, and from where I am, I'm going to run the Composer, and I'm going to say install no dev and prefer dist. Let me just copy and paste that, and I'll show you again. So I'm in serve IXP Manager. I'm going to run this Composer, the PHP package manager that we just downloaded. I'm telling it to install, which installs packages based on composer.lock. What we have said works with this release of IXP Manager. No development files and prefer the distribution, which leaves out things like documentation and stuff like that. Just saves a bit of this space. So it knows I'm doing this as the root user. I'm going to continue with that because I'm quite happy with the Composer library and everything. And as a PHP developer, I'm quite au fait with this stuff. So it's gone and installed everything I needed installed. The package directory is clear, obviously. The only thing that's in outside of Git right now is this framework down file, and that file tells Laravel to show this message. So we got service unavailable at the moment. Since our upgrade, we've changed a couple of things, so that's fine. So let's see what's next on our list. Okay, restart memcache and clear the local Laravel cache. Okay. Now we're going to update the database schema. So we can see what's going to happen by running PHP artisan migrate status. And now we see that there's a bunch of migrations queued up. You'll also recognize this is quite different. There's no doctrine commands here. One of the biggest changes in IXP Manager version 6 is we've completely substituted doctrine with Laravel's own built-in database ORM layer called Eloquent. So now we can go ahead and the force, if you do -- force, what that basically means is it won't ask you for a yes, no. Let's say yes here. And some of these will take a little while. So we've, like for example, this add timestamps. Laravel Eloquent has a default way of handling rows, timestamping rows for created at and updated at. Some of the tables are massive, and now we're going refactoring these or adding in these columns to those tables. So depending on the size of your database, that could take a few seconds, but at most it should take a few minutes. Now, remember how I said above this convoluted command to make sure everything stays as the web user. For belt and braces here, I'm fixing all file system permissions. So I'm making sure that the web user can write to the 3 directories it will need to, and I'm making sure that the file system permissions on those are also correct. So we're just going to let this run its course here, and then I'll run those 2 commands. Should only take a couple of seconds more, I hope. There we go. Update timestamps. Okay, we're nearly there. User pref. There we go. So everything ran successfully, and if we do a PHP status now, you can see everything's after running. So right, I had those 2 commands I copied just to reset all of the file system permissions, and then I wanted to clear out all caches. This is something that we would do after every upgrade just to make sure that any lingering or stale caches have been removed. And that's all done. And then the last thing that I want to do before I go up is go through the rest of the release notes. Now, there may be more release notes to come. So this is the main steps that are involved in upgrading to version 6. When you come here, please come and check for any notes down here that I have added in after the fact. There may not be any, and the only ones I could think of to date are this one. And this one is telling us that I need to edit my .m file, find my mail configuration. So I've got a mail host port. Yeah, I've got this stuff here. My INX's configuration file may be quite old. What you're really looking for is mail driver, and if it's not there, it will have been defaulted in Laravel, so it's not there. So you want to find it, and you want to replace it with this one. And in fact, just to keep everything completely up to speed, I'm going to add that in because it is SMTP as the mailer that we're using. So that's mostly all I have in terms of post upgrade release notes so far. So please come back and check what else I might have added down below. So I should now be able to do artisan up, which should have our application live. Excellent. So here we are. We're back up and running. We're on version 6.0. And if I do a PHP info, you can see I'm running PHP version 8. One thing I also just want to touch on here is, let me have a look here for memory limit. So 128 megabytes, that's the default that PHP comes with. If you're a small IX, you'll get away with that. But if you're, if you've got more than 20 members, and if you've definitely got members like, for example, Hurricane Electric with hundreds of thousands of prefixes, and you're generating root collector and root server configurations, we definitely need to bump that up. And the way we do that, and I'll add these to release notes as well, the way we do that is we edit etc PHP version 8, and because I'm running Apache, it's into Apache PHP INI. If you're running Nginx, you're going to have to find Nginx's PHP INI file. If you don't know what INI file to use, it's actually quite handily listed right here at the top of the PHP info. So this is the file that I need to edit, which is the one I have here, exact same file. So what I want to look at is I want to look at my memory limit. So I'm going to change that to 1024 megabytes. You can go higher, but you'll know if you haven't set this high enough, because your root server configuration generations will crash because it runs out of memory. And that's how you know to bump this. Hoping to make that much more memory efficient, by the way, at some point in the future. The other thing I want to do is, again, because if you have these massive prefix lists, you may end up running into the maximum execution time. So it's set to 30 seconds by default on Apache. So again, if you've got a massive root server configuration to generate, let's bump that from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. And for those to take effect, we've got to restart Apache. If I come back here, if I find that memory limit, you can now see I'm up to 1 gigabyte essentially. So that was the other thing I wanted to check on. Recreate SQL views. So again, assuming you're an IXP root, there are 1 or 2 scripts, lingering scripts. They're nearly all gone, but there's 1 or 2 lingering scripts that might rely on the views. So hopefully you can source that env, and hopefully you can just run that. So access denied. What did I get wrong here? Joe.env. It's DB. It's not DB user. It's DB username. And that ran. Okay, so that was a useful exercise, and just so I don't forget that in the future, we will very quickly update this user name. So do I have anything else here? That was my views. That's it. So welcome to IXP Manager version 8. Hopefully you found this video useful. Hopefully you found that as easy as I was able to demonstrate here. I know I went fast, but because I'm used to it. But again, because it's a video, you can always pause and rewind. Now that that's done, the other thing I said I would do as well at this point was I did say I would do a distribution upgrade, and just to see what falls out of that. So I've called this box Ubuntu 18.04. If I look at Joe etc. hostname, I called it that because that's what my template has, just so I know what I'm working on. I'm about to change that to 20.04, so I'm just going to get rid of that hostname now, because I don't want to confuse ourselves when we come back into it. So if I just go back in here, whoops. We've got Ubuntu, so that's fine. So we are of course running 18.04, and what I want to do is upgrade that to 20.04, and let's see what falls out of that. Did I have some notes on that myself? I did. Okay, so we're going to do the command to do this is do release upgrade, and again, you should definitely have backups before you do this, and hopefully it's something that you're used to. But this is a standard 18.04 box running ISP Manager. Let's do our do release upgrade and see what happens. So that's fine. I do want to continue, and that's okay. So what it's doing now is making sure my 18.04 is up to date, which we know it is, and then it's going to go off and have a look at what it needs to do to upgrade to 20.04. Please continue. Yeah. So what I'm going to do as part of this is I'm going to pause this in a minute. I'm just going to let this run for a few seconds while I talk to you, and then I'm going to pause the video while it does the long bit that requires no human interaction. The thing that makes this complicated is we upgraded, and you can see that it's happening here. We upgraded to PHP 8 as part, and I'm just going to say yes here to let this run. We upgraded to PHP 8, but Ubuntu 20.04 comes to PHP 7.4. So it's going to actually downgrade PHP on us, and it's going to remove Andre's PPA as well as part of the process. So I think the biggest job that we'll have to do when this completes is actually just reinstall PHP version 8. And we'll do that and make sure it works. So I'm going to pause this in a moment. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it run for a little bit. And if you're watching this, feel free to just, fast forward a couple of seconds on Ubuntu as we get through this. And the reason I'm going to let it run is because I know it's going to ask a couple of questions in a second. And I just want to show you how I deal with that. So we've downloaded everything we need for Ubuntu 8. We're now pre-configuring all these packages. This is where I think it's going to ask me a couple of questions. So here we go. Restart services during package upgrades without asking. I'm going to say yes to that because I'm in a maintenance window effectively. So if you're upgrading ISP Manager, you've probably announced it to your members as a maintenance window. No need to do this at nighttime, by the way. IXP Manager is not a production critical service. Your IXP will run without IXP Manager running. If you're a small exchange, you probably don't even need to announce it to your members. They'll see it's not up, and if they ask questions, if the one or two that happen to come in at that particular point ask a question, you can just let them know that you were doing an upgrade. And Maestro runs it by default, so I'm going to say that's fine. So it looks like we are actually through the questions now, and we are actually installing all the packages. So I am going to pause this for a second, and I'll check back in once it finishes doing this. Okay, we're back. So that took a little while. The main things that happened while the recording was paused was one or two more questions I just took the default option on, and then it told me that 68 packages are going to be removed and continue. I say yes to that, obviously, because these packages are no longer required or no longer supported. And if there's something that we require post a distribution upgrade, we should find the appropriate new or replacement packages for them. So that's going to ask me to reboot, and I'm just going to say yes to that. While it reboots, what's going to happen now is, because Ubuntu 20.04 uses PHP 7.4, we're going to be back in the same situation we were where we had 7.3 and we had to upgrade that as part of the upgrade process. Arguably, it's better to do your distribution upgrade first and then do your ISP Manager upgrade. It's a matter of preference. I wanted to do it this way on purpose on this video to give you a view of both angles on it. Once we got PHP 8 installed on Ubuntu 20.04, the ISP Manager version just follows the steps that we had previously. So at least by doing it this way, you can see both sides of it and make your own decision. So let me see, are we back up and running? Looks like we are. So cat / etc lsb, and we can see we're now running Ubuntu version 20.04. So let me go back into my screen environment and escalate to root. So let's see what our PHP packages look like now. PS, let's depackage -l grep PHP. So we still have PHP version 8 installed, which is great. I had assumed I'd be back to PHP 7.4. The big question is Andre's PPA still attached? And it looks like it's not. So I don't see Andre's PPA there. So I'm going to do an apt add repository PPA, and it's ONDOREJ/PHP. So we're adding that, and then we're going to do an apt update. We're going to do an apt dist upgrade. Okay. You can see, actually, I must have missed it earlier on. Let's just do grep PHP 7 here. So there are various elements of PHP 7 installed. So what I might actually do is 7. So I might actually do, before we do that, is remove those. So depackage -or PHP 7 awk, and I want to print the second column, which is the package name. In fact, let me just show you what that looks like. So that's just the packages I want to remove. So depackage, and in fact, I'm going to purge them. And we have some dependency problems here. Okay. Possibly the best way to handle this is to, let me get our massive install. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take this guy here, just to make sure that we have everything that we're supposed to have post upgrade. So one or two issues popped up there. So we let that run away. And so actually it looks like that was an important thing to do, because it looked like those PHP 8 packages were actually kind of dangling rather than properly installed. So that looks like that's much better. Now what do we have here? Okay. So it looks like the system thinks it needs certain things. So like, for example, PHP MySQL depends on 7.4, but it should really depend on 8. So we'll just install that. And it looks like the other thing it thinks it needs is this. So these are the pseudo packages I mentioned earlier on. Sorry, apt install. So you can see that it has gone and installed the version 8 of these packages, which is great. So now let me see if I can do this. I can, that's brilliant. Now, how do we look here? All gone, great. Is there anything dangling? Apt auto remove. Going to get rid of those two things. Okay, that's just me just doing a bit of housekeeping. PHP-v. Super. Now let's just check Apache again. So again, we're after losing PHP there. So I think it's already installed. Depackage-l grep Apache to mod PHP. So it is installed. So I just need to a2 en mod PHP 8. We need to restart Apache. You can see when we ran that Apache 2 enable module, you can see what it did is it stuck those extra files in here. I suspect that is us complete. Great, there we are, up and running. PHP info, version 8. And there we are. So we're up and running on Ubuntu 20.04. So a couple of wrinkles when we do the distribution upgrade. It's no different to doing any distribution upgrade. You're always going to find a couple of issues along the way. But look, that's it. That is our IXP Manager version 5.8 upgraded to version 6. A PHP version 7.x upgraded to version 8, and also a distribution upgrade for good measure. So that's about 40 minutes of recording and a lot of good stuff in there. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video, or hopefully in real life sometime.